Fire Call, the Fire Safety Show, Division Chief Jim Sideras.
Hi, my name is Division Chief Jim Sideras, and you are watching Fire Call. And this month is the coolest show we've got. We have fire pits. Everyone wants to know about these fire pits. It's summertime. How to prevent some kitchen fires. And we got some great footage. You got to see this. We're going to meet some of our new firefighters. They're not on the floor yet, but 3 of the coolest new recruits you're going to see. And saving the best for almost last, 2 generations, not 1, but 2 generations of fire chiefs on the department. We're going to hear about changes they saw and what their legacies. Now, I got a couple shout outs, 2 of them, and they're easy to pronounce. Chris is from New York, wants a shout out to the Melville Volunteer Fire Department in Melville, New York. And Brett's from Oklahoma, and he wants a shout out to the Midwest EMS and Midwest City Fire Department. Of course, they get a sassy, sweet Sioux Falls Fire Rescue t-shirt. Send those shout outs, send those questions in, because that's what's running our show, is all your questions. So sit back, hang on, because this is going to be a great show, and ride with the guys from Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. Every year we hire new people, and now we have 8 new ones just starting. We're going to introduce you to 3, and it's tough to get hired in Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. So the 500 plus that apply, we're looking at the best. And the first one on deck is John Elvey.
Yes.
John, where are you from?
I am from Crook, South Dakota.
And we've talked about this. Before you were a firefighter, you did?
Chemical blending in Brandon, South Dakota.
That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
What was it?
What was it?
Yeah, what'd you do?
It was cleaning and we made cleaning and sanitizing chemicals for meatpacking plants.
And so, okay, now big jump here from that whole job to being a firefighter. Where's the tie-in?
I am a volunteer out in Crook, South Dakota.
Okay.
And I did that for 4 years now, and I liked it, loved it, so I decided to apply for Sioux Falls.
Now, what so far? Limited time you've been out here? How many weeks?
8. We're on our 8th week.
Okay, graduating next week.
Yep.
What's been your best enjoyable experience out here so far?
The fires. Live fires. Yep.
Because you've been doing a lot of live fires and getting in and actually doing the job.
Hard. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So far, so good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Learn to cook?
A little bit. I'm getting better.
And you have one recipe that's a no-fail recipe. I gave him my cheesecake recipe. Okay. So you got to let me know when you make that.
All right.
Okay. You're done.
Awesome.
Next. Okay, Rachel Van Beek.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. John, where was that? Okay. Graham, remember all this stuff, okay? Okay, Rachel, where are you from?
I'm originally from Inwood, Iowa. I live in Sioux Falls now.
Okay, so you saw the light and moved to South Dakota.
I saw the light, moved to South Dakota.
What's your background? Because you got kind of an interesting background.
Yep. Right after high school, I went to college, got a degree in education, taught for a year.
What grades did you teach?
I did K through 12. I had a K through 12 endorsement. I did substituting all over, so I did that. I didn't really enjoy it, so then I kind of just worked on my parents' farm for a year. Then I went back to school to be a paramedic, and that's where I learned about the job at. After that,
who told you about the job?
You did.
Look at that, okay. Okay, so became a paramedic. Now you're here.
Yep.
And what else do you do?
I'm in the National Guard as well.
And you're a?
Medic.
So combat medic.
Yep.
66 whiskey, right?
68 whiskey.
Okay, close.
Close
enough.
Give
me a break.
Yep.
Okay? So what do you think so far? It's a little different than teaching.
Yeah, it's very different than teaching. That's definitely what drew me to this job. It's not the same routine every day. You get to go around, be outside, do different things, and that's definitely a plus for me.
And your background as a medic will be helpful because 70% of our EMS, or 70% of our emergency calls now are EMS.
Yep.
So that's going to be a big plus to have you on the floor.
Yep. Hopefully.
What has been your favorite thing out here so far in the whole 8 weeks?
Definitely the live fires, having to go in there, think on your feet, not knowing exactly what's going to happen, but trying to overcome what does happen and go from there.
And we put you in as many different scenarios. Do you think you've had enough scenarios to feel a little bit more comfortable because it's a different environment?
Yep. Yeah, I think we've had a lot of good scenarios. Obviously, you can't plan for all of them because it's just not possible, but what we have had is definitely a good base to start from.
Okay, well, it's going to be fun to see you on the floor, Rachel.
Thank you.
Okay. Graham Kuhlmo.
Yes.
Okay, now Graham, we heard it all. Now look, they're just giggling at you now. They're just, look at it. Turn around and look for a minute, just Graham. Yeah, they're off now. And they gave me the questions I was supposed to ask you, the tough ones. Where are you from? What's your background?
I'm from Brookings, South Dakota,
Okay.
and I used to be an electrician.
Really? So we have really, actually, everyone's kind of from this area. What drew you to fire service?
I just wanted a career that my 2 daughters, Bella and Meja, would be proud of, and better career than being a firefighter.
Yeah. And now, did you move to Sioux Falls?
Nope, I'm going to stay in Brookings.
And just commute back and forth?
Yep.
Now, what do you think so far about the training you've been getting? Has it been working for you, not working? What do you like?
Well, everything's been great. It's a first job I've been excited to get up every morning and go to work.
Now, no one has mentioned as part of their favorite thing the right answer out here at the training center. No one has mentioned the right answer. What has been, your career depends on this, your favorite experience at the training center?
Have to be slosh tubes.
Slosh tubes, yes, yes, the slosh tubes. Okay, if you don't know what the slosh tubes are, we do some training where we take a big pipe, we fill it with rock, we fill it with water, and we do PT with it. And it was really fun, wasn't it?
It was.
You learned a lot.
Definitely.
Actually, you've kind of bulked up a little bit in 8 weeks, because when we started, you were a thin rail. Now look at that, your arms are getting bigger. I see some veins there going on. Well, what else have you enjoyed besides slosh tubes? So that means today you won't have to do slosh tubes. Maybe we can have someone else lift your load over there. What's been good for you? What have you liked?
The camaraderie with all the other firefighter recruits, and getting to learn the firefighting career, and everything's been great out here.
Because this is much more of a team, I suppose, a team effort than being an electrician, maybe.
Yep.
And has that worked out pretty good? It's kind of a big culture shock almost, going from working by yourself to working with, well, we've seen some of your classmates. Any issues with that?
No.
Have you played any practical jokes yet on anybody?
Few.
Have you done the pop can?
No.
Let's work on that one today. Let's pick someone in class. The pop can, for you don't know, you put a little hole in the pop can.
We'll do it on Nick Kervink.
I'm in on that one. I want to be here. I'll buy the pop for Nick if you do it. Okay, Graham, I'm glad you're here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
When we look at our new recruits, and we hire these new recruits every year, we're having new people come to the department. We have to train them. So we have a full-time training staff of people that are just here to make those firefighters the best when they hit the floor. Now, one of those is Joe Van Eckert. Now, Joe, you've been out here. You're one of our trainers. A lot of questions for you. Are you ready? Okay. Hang in there, Joel.
I got you.
Don't throttle back a little bit.
Yep, I'm all right.
When you look at, you get people from all walks of life. How do you bring them together as a team? Because it's a big team effort being a firefighter. Is there any things you do out here that help with that?
Well, I think it's just constant motivation for 9 weeks. The first thing is they need to see that we're a team, and they learn from that. They watch that, and then we just motivate them.
And you work out with them every day?
Work out with them every day.
We expect them to be very physically fit when they hit the floor.
We're basically with them every hour of the day that they're out here.
And they're out here for how many weeks from start to finish?
9 weeks.
Now, when we look at that 9-week training, what kind of things do you run through? What scenarios or what kind of training do you have for them?
The first few weeks are in the classroom, a little boring, and then they get their uniforms measured for all that kind of stuff and their turnout gear, and then after that it's live fire time. We like to run live time, real-time fires, and they'll be in the classroom and we'll just surprise them, and
So
we'll dispatch them like they would on a call, and they'd have to come out, get their gear on, and we'll have car fires going, extrication, and they have to go out there and think on their feet.
Now, when people are going to say, how realistic is the training that you provide? So when they go to the floor, is this pretty much what they can expect to see?
That's what we want for training, is so that when they get on the floor, it's what they're going to see.
Now,
a little more controlled.
Right, because there are those
safety,
variables we can't.
Right.
We do have to follow certain standards for safety.
Right.
Now, when they get to the floor, when they actually leave the training center, because they're out here full time, they get stationed. What happens after that? Is it pretty much just, okay, you're done with training?
No. For the new recruits that just get out, they're going to take a 6-month test, a 1 and 2 and a 3-year test. And I don't know the exact number of hours, but for all of us, it's well over 200 hours of training per year.
In addition to everything else you're doing?
Yep, in addition to everything else.
So the recruits will then participate in, if they're with a rescue station, they'll be doing the rescue tasks, plus their regular tasks, plus prepare for their 1, 2, and 3-year tests, 6-month 1, 2, and 3-year tests.
Yes, they're in the books a lot for the first 3 years of their career. and they should be the rest of their career.
Oh yeah, it's constant learning on the fire service because things change.
Things change all the time.
Now,
That's what I'm learning from being out here.
And what advice would you impart on them?
Well, it's the advice that I give to them at their recruit banquet every time.
Yeah.
Is that they choose their attitude. So if they go into this thing with a bad attitude, it's going to be a drag coming to work every day because they're long days.
Oh yeah.
But they choose their attitude.
And that's another thing you can control.
I can't control it,
but
they can see it on the people who are out here, the people that are teaching them, that are leading them. If we instill that positive attitude with them, maybe something will rub off. That's what we're hoping for.
And you're one of the reasons we have such good people hitting the floor and serving the citizens of Sioux Falls. You're part of that, impressing on those people their job for the rest of their career.
Well, try to be.
Oh, you are.
But we understand that there's life out there too. You know, you have a lot of these have young children, so they're up at night or whatever. There's life. It's just something that you got to deal with.
Well, we appreciate all your hard work, you and the training staff, and you've been doing a great job, so thanks a lot, Joel.
Thanks, Jim.
We got a lot of questions about preventing fires. How do we prevent kitchen fires and how do we prevent fires in fire pits? Well, I have Dean Lanier. Dean Lanier is our fire marshal, and Dean, you just came back from the National Fire Academy, so big deal you got selected to go there. It's in Emmitsburg, Maryland, so it's quite a ways away. Now tell us, what'd you learn, what'd you do, what class were you in?
Well, the Parade Fire Conference is a conference that was put together about 6-7 years ago. It is a conference where both state fire marshals and local jurisdictions and municipalities get together, talk about fire prevention issues, learn from each other. We get opportunities to partake in workshops with national experts and folks that have programs that would be really beneficial for all of us to try to benchmark
bring all that back to us.
Yes, absolutely. We get an opportunity to bring it all right back here to Sioux Falls and see which programs we can utilize right here in the city for our own citizens' benefit.
And that's all no cost item to the taxpayers too?
Absolutely, no cost to the taxpayers. So the price of the trip was already covered. The conference is only held once every 2 years. So it's really an opportunity to kind of see where your program is at and get ideas of what improvements you can make to make your prevention program even better.
Because the big thing is we want to prevent the fires from happening. We don't want fire trucks going out because we've missed the curve then.
Absolutely. It's interesting to see a larger perspective on the prevention issues. There are quite a few municipalities and districts out there that take a really proactive approach in trying to take action before the fire occurs. Honestly, if we don't take some steps, not every fire is going to be extinguished before it does extensive damage to property or take lives for that matter. So it's important for us to understand that there are some preventive measures we can take prior to a fire occurring.
Okay, now stepping onto that, we're going to talk about kitchen fires.
Sure.
Kitchen fires are 30% of our house fires in Sioux Falls related to kitchen fires. What can people do? Because it's a tough one to get out there. So you got them right here. They're listening to us.
It is a tough thing to take care of. There are some real basic steps that our citizens can take to ensure that they're doing the right thing as far as kitchen fires within the home. The first step is basically do not leave the kitchen while you have items on your stove, on your cooktop. The primary cause for kitchen fires is unattended cooking. So when folks turn their attention away, maybe they're just taking a few minutes to watch a TV show, answer a phone, absolutely. In those short few seconds of inattention to the cooking surface, you can have a fire.
And once we get that fire, it gets up into the cabinets, and then it's gone. I mean, we're coming to your house.
At that point, the fire has an opportunity to grow beyond the scope of what a citizen would be able to extinguish by themselves. So at that point, it's necessary to call 911, get everybody out of the house, and take those actions instead of trying to take some first aid action to try to put the fire out right there on the spot.
Now, if someone's going to try and put the fire out, what do you suggest they not do?
Under no circumstances would I ever put any water on a grease fire on top of the stove. We shot some video of that to try to demonstrate what happens. And without being too much of a tech nerd about what exactly occurs, scientifically what you're looking at is you're adding water to what is really a hydrocarbon-based fire.
So now that means for
rapid expansion of the fire. Faster than you can move, the fire will be on top of you. And then you're talking about your clothes being on fire and anything and everything in the general vicinity of that stovetop now on fire. So in essence, what you've done is when you've tossed the water on top of the grease fire, you've expanded the size of the fire exponentially.
Okay.
And really, there's the hope is that we don't think that as a method to put a grease fire out on top of a stove at any time.
What would you suggest then?
Preferred method is always take something flat, take something solid. If you can find the lid, use the lid to put the fire out, put it on top, take all the oxygen away. Our school age program, we talk about this extensively. Ensuring that you understand the correct way is always to take the oxygen away from the fire. That way you don't have to deal with the cleanup or anything like that after the fire is over. And it's the safest way to get the fire out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you don't listen to Fire Marshal Dean, we're coming to your house to visit you, put out the fire. Now, the next one we have questions about. A lot of people come summertime, we want to get those fire pits out there, fire them up, sit around, eat some marshmallows and make some s'mores. What advice do you have? What's our biggest problem with fire pits?
Our biggest problem is the use of a fire pit for things other than its intended purpose. Within the City of Sioux Falls, our ordinance restricts burning to 2 items.
Okay.
Coal and dry wood. Those are the 2 items that should be used
charcoal
inside.
briquettes.
Charcoal briquettes.
Or dry wood.
And dry firewood.
What do we see?
When you don't use those 2 items as the primary fuels for your pit fires, you'll see a lot of nuisance smoke. Smoke clouds that are far bigger than they ever would be if you used the 2 items that we talk about. And generally, we end up with a lot of complaints from neighbors who are irritated by the smoke and the amount of smoke being generated. So those are times in which fire captains, when they respond...
Fire truck's going to go out to their house.
Absolutely.
And what do we have to do?
Our process is we shut the fire pit down. We have the owners extinguish the fire and we fill it up with water at that point. Now, I have not had many complaints at all when our residents are using charcoal and dry wood as their primary fuels. Burns cleaner, not as much moisture in the wood. So no, a good fuel for your fire pit is not, sawing down your tree and putting that in your fire pit. Leaves, refuse, trash, all those things are going to produce far more smoke than charcoal and firewood.
Now, people are going to go out and buy fire pits because I want to get one this summer. I think it'd be kind of fun.
Absolutely.
How far away should I have from my house?
Good rule of thumb, 15 feet away from your home and any wooden structure.
Okay.
Keep them away from trees, overhanging trees, that type of thing. As long as you keep it away from your structures by 15 feet, you're a safe distance away. A good practice would be keeping it on a non-combustible surface. So if you have a concrete pad or bricks, they would be a perfect surface to have your fire pit on top of.
Have a hose or a bucket of water just in case?
Absolutely. Water would always be the best extinguishing agent, and you want to make sure before you turn in for the night, you go ahead and wet that fire down so you don't have any rekindling issues overnight.
Great, Dean. Hey, you are one great addition to Sioux Falls Fire Rescue.
Oh, thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Well, we're going to talk to Don Hill. Don's retiring, and Don has been the chief since forever. 1998. He's had some amazing changes with our department, and Don, man, it's going to be, I don't know what we're going to do without you. It's going to be kind of a weird, where's Don,
You guys are going to be fine.
I hope
As
so.
you know. I'm not,
You're a phone call away.
Okay.
Now, it's been 12 years, 98.
Yeah, end of 97.
Yep. So you've been chief. What's been the biggest changes you've seen since you became chief?
A couple of the things that have been really, really big changes. First of all, the growth of the city and keeping up with that growth. When I became chief in 97, we had 7 fire stations. When I started on the department in 82, we had 7 fire stations, so we hadn't added any. And we have added 3 stations now. We're up to 10. And we have plans for the future, so out to station 22.
Okay, Don, now every chief has a legacy, and I'm wondering what was your legacy for our department?
That's probably going to be defined later, but what I think has been important and probably most important to me, especially in the last few years, is firefighter fitness. Because as you well know, we've talked about before, firefighters die in the line of duty because of heart attacks more than any other occupation. And firefighting, the primary danger in firefighting is now cardiovascular risk. And so we have put a huge emphasis on physical fitness in our department over the last several years, and we've seen tremendous improvements in cardiovascular endurance,
loss of body
tremendous
fat.
reductions in body fats of our firefighters, and I'm happy with the position that we're in now, knowing that when I turn the department over to the next fire chief, you're going to have a much more fit force than we did when I took over.
And that will carry on. I mean, you start looking at that fitness level gets higher, one's feeling better, their attitudes are better, and you just keep jumping off to the next point.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's much better service for the people of Sioux
Sure.
Falls. Our firefighters are much more capable of doing their jobs. Firefighting is very, very physically demanding.
And that's not going to change.
And that is not going to change. So it is the thing that has been most important to me.
Well, and tell you what, it hurt, and I'm speaking from experience, it hurt for a long doing those pull-ups, but now I'm so glad we stuck to it. It feels great.
Yeah.
Well, Don, it's been great working with you because you know, you've really set even the chief officers, you moved us all along, and sometimes you had to push us a little bit, but we really appreciate what you've done for us.
Well, thanks very much, Jim.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks.
Okay, we got a special surprise on Fire Call. We got two of the previous chiefs. We have Kirk Anderson, who is the previous chief. We have Don Hill, who's retiring. Kirk, you were chief from
1989 through 97.
Wow.
Been retired for 14 years. It's the best job I've ever had in my life.
And the retired job or the fire job?
The retired job.
So
believe me, firefighting was wonderful. I did it for 32 years. I couldn't think of a better career that I would have had in my lifetime, and I loved it. I loved the people I worked with.
Now, when you were chief, what are some of the concerns you had back in that 80s and early 90s time frame?
Well, I think looking back at it, I think probably at that time, firefighters were firefighters. Mm-hmm. And I and one of the previous chiefs, Orland Nargard, we're looking at how important the educational aspects of the fire service are going to be, not only for Sioux Falls, but nationwide and worldwide, if you will.
Sure.
And so I went with Killian College. Tom Killian was the one that started a 2-year degree program here in Sioux Falls. I was an instructor. I got my degree. And then, Jim, you know very well that you were one of my first students.
I was there. It was
we went through that, but believe me, education in the fire service is probably one of the most important things you can do. Not only just for the fire service, but for our entire community, education is extremely important.
Mm-hmm. So and now
that's what I was looking at.
Yeah, and then look at us now. I mean, part of that was laid out to where we are now.
I tell you, one thing I look at when you say from 97 when I retired, Don came in, what it is now 14 years later, I was looking at the budget, very frankly, that I operated with at that time, and Don has better than doubled the budget since I've been there. So he's either a really good talker, or else he's got somebody that maybe the mayor that really wants to finance this organization. This is a good organization.
It really is, and it's well managed too. And part of that was you laying down that groundwork early, and we've just been building up on it every year.
I tell you what, I'm really proud of the way things have happened since I left. I really am. I sometimes question those, but I never really call the chief and expound on it. But I really see a lot of good things happening.
Well, and part of great organizations is being able to move to the next set of leadership and keep on moving and building up to a better organization. We owe a lot of that to you.
Well, I guess thank you. I appreciate that. But you guys are the ones that are doing the work now, not me. I did it in the past.
Well, we appreciate all your work. Thanks, Kirk.
Yeah, Kirk, I do want to thank you for the legacy that you've left, and it is education. Without what you started, this department would not be what it is today, and I feel like you passed on to me a great department. I'm going to pass on to somebody else a great department as well, and they'll do wonders with it. So thanks very much.
You bet.
Appreciate
man.
it.
Like I say, I wish everybody absolutely the best of luck. I plan on hanging around for a few more years.
That's right.
On the golf course anyway.
That's right.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
Hey, that was really fun. Kirk was the guy that got me into school, got me organized and thinking about college, and that's where the direction of the fire service is going to go. And you know what? It really is. And you got to look back at those guys that had the vision to see where the future is going to be. Don was the same way with physical fitness. So if you're watching, you got to realize we have great chiefs in the department, and that's why we're like we are now. We're #1 in the country. A couple quick shout outs. This one's to Chris. Chris wants a shout out to the shout out to the New York Fire Department Explorer Post 724. And Logan, now Logan's kind of cool. Logan's 12 years old. Dad's a chief of the Pineville Fire Department in Pineville, Arkansas. His grandfather's on the department. His mom and older brother Joe are all in the department. You talk about a family of firefighters. You need to think about coming to Sioux Falls because we're going to be hiring by the time you get to be 21. He wants a shout out to the Pineville Fire Department, Pineville, Arkansas. And buddy, I don't know if we have a small enough shirt for you, but you're going to be able to grow into it. Hey, my name is Division Chief Jim Sideras, and you've been watching Fire Call.